In the distant future, humanity was no longer the underdog of the galaxy. The once weak species had built a powerful fleet that spanned across many systems, but the peace they fought for was fragile. Alien races, threatened by humanity's rise, launched brutal attacks on human colonies. The galaxy was now in a constant state of war, and the humans were forced to fight for their survival. Admiral Elara Stone, known for her fierce tactics and unmatched leadership, was humanity's last hope. She commanded the Phoenix Fleet, humanity's most powerful armada. The fleet was a combination of human ingenuity, advanced technology, and pure willpower, but even Elara knew that in a war, this vast victory could slip through anyone's fingers. The Phoenix Fleet had suffered losses before, but it had never been dealt a blow like this one. It started with a warning, a sudden surge in alien activity near the edge of the system. Intel reports showed a massive fleet of over 2,000 ships, led by an alien empire known as the Sci-Fi Coalition. This was no small attack. The Sci-Fi were known for their overwhelming firepower and brutal tactics. Elara immediately ordered her fleet into battle positions. The odds were impossible. The Sci-Fi fleet vastly outnumbered the Phoenix Fleet, and their ships were equipped with weapons far superior to anything humanity had ever faced. But Elara had never backed down from a challenge. She had faced worse odds before. This would be no different. The battle began with a flash of bright laser fire as both fleets engaged. Elara's ships darted through space like shooting stars, using the nearby asteroid fields to mask their movements. With each calculated strike, the Phoenix Fleet took down enemy ships one by one, but the Sci-Fi responded with fury, tearing through human lines with terrifying precision. Elara's mind raced as she issued orders, her voice steady through the chaos. "Focus on the lead ships. Take out their commanders first," she commanded, her voice cutting through the noise of the battle. The strategy worked. Slowly but surely, the Phoenix Fleet began to chip away at the Sci-Fi numbers, but the battle raged on. The universe was holding its breath. The fight stretched for hours, a brutal dance of destruction and survival. Elara watched as each of her ships took down another alien vessel, the numbers growing smaller. The Sci-Fi, however, were relentless. But Elara had always believed that humans could fight through anything if they just held onto their memories, their stories of survival, sacrifice, and triumph. Then, it happened. After what felt like an eternity, Elara's fleet emerged victorious. The once immense Sci-Fi armada was reduced to nothing but floating debris. Not a single Sci-Fi ship remained. The battle was over, but the victory came at a cost. The Phoenix Fleet had lost many ships, and the damage was severe. But the humans had done what no one believed possible. They had won. As the battle cleared and the stars once again filled the sky, Elara stood on the command bridge of her flagship, the Starfire, staring out at the wreckage. Her heart was heavy, not just with the weight of the loss, but with the weight of what she had done. She had led her fleet to victory, but it wasn't just the destruction of the 2,000 alien ships that weighed on her, it was the memories they held. With a deep breath, Elara spoke, her voice quiet but clear. Her first officer, Captain Leela Roges, looked at her in confusion, not understanding at first. But then it clicked. "Admiral, the ships. You want to name them?" "Yes," Elara said, turning to face her crew. "Each one. I'll name every ship we destroyed." She paused for a moment before continuing. "Each ship represents a battle, a victory, a part of our history." It was then that Elara began to speak their names. The first ship, a Sci-Fi command vessel, was named Vanguard of the Fallen, a tribute to the thousands of humans who had died in the wars that led to this moment. The next ship, a heavy warship, she named Phoenix Reborn, symbolizing humanity's resilience to rise from every defeat. Ship after ship, Elara recalled the memories, each name tying the destruction of the alien forces to a part of her life in the history of humankind. Each name was personal. Some ships were named after her closest comrades who had perished in earlier battles. The Last Stand was named after her mentor, Admiral Lawson, who had fallen defending Earth. Eternal Hope was named for the first human colony on Mars, a symbol of the belief that humanity could always find a way forward. No matter the odds. Aslara spoke the last name, the endless dream. She felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The battle was over, but the memory of this victory would live on. The Sci-Fi might have been defeated, but this was more than just a military victory. It was a testament to the spirit of humanity. The names of the 2,000 ships were now part of history. They would be remembered as the ships that helped humanity survive, the ships that reminded everyone that humanity would never give up. Alara looked up at the stars once again, a quiet strength in her eyes. This battle wasn't just about defeating aliens, it was about survival, remembering the past, and honoring the sacrifices made for the future. Humanity had fought not just for today, but for tomorrow. And as long as they held onto their memories, they would continue to fight and win. The last hope of humanity galaxy was on the brink of destruction. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, its colonies falling one by one, its defenses crumbling under the weight of a terrifying alien empire. The Avazar Dominion, a ruthless and powerful alien race, had set its sights on Earth, humanity's homeworld, and it seemed like nothing could stop them. The alien forces were vast, numbering in the thousands, and their technology was far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. It looked like the end for the human race. But humanity's last hope lay with one-man fleet Admiral Marcus Hayden. Marcus was known throughout the galaxy for his brilliant strategic mind, his courage, and his unwavering resolve. For years, he had led humanity's last defense against the Avazar. He had watched countless battles, and many of his friends and comrades had fallen in the fight. His fleet, once powerful, had been whittled down to a small but determined force. Now, with the Avazar fleet approaching Earth's orbit, Marcus had no choice but to make one final stand. It was a desperate move, one that most commanders would have never dared attempt. Marcus knew that he had to act fast, or Earth would fall. His fleet was outnumbered 2,000 Avazar ships against a handful of human vessels. The odds were impossible, but Marcus had never believed in giving up. He had seen humanity overcome the impossible time and time again, and this would be no different. Standing on the bridge of his flagship, the Valor, Marcus watched as the enemy fleet moved into position. The tension was unbearable, and the sound of alarms filled the air. His crew was ready, but fear hung heavy in the air. They knew what was at stake. Earth's fate was in their hands. Marcus turned to his communications officer. All ships, prepare for a surprise attack. Focus on their command vessels first. We hit hard, we hit fast, we fight to the last. With those words, the battle began. The Avazar fleet was large and powerful, but Marcus's plan was daring. His ships spread out, using the nearby asteroid fields for cover. They moved in small, quick groups, launching surprise attacks on the enemy's weaker ships. Each strike was calculated and precise. Marcus had studied the Avazar's tactics for years and knew exactly how they would react. Slowly, the human fleet began to make progress, destroying one ship after another. The Avazar retaliated with incredible force. Their weapons were deadly, and their ships were built for destruction. But Marcus and his fleet fought with everything they had. They fought with the knowledge that this was their last chance not just to save Earth, but to prove to the galaxy that humanity would never give up. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. Marcus's fleet was taking heavy damage, but they kept fighting, each ship refusing to surrender. Marcus knew he couldn't afford to lose any more ships, but he also knew that every strike they made brought them closer to victory. And then, the unthinkable happened. After an intense and grueling fight, the human fleet had wiped out every single one of the 2,000 Avazar ships. The once mighty alien armada lay in ruins. Marcus stood at the bridge, staring at the wreckage, his chest heavy with emotion. They had done it. They had won. The impossible had been achieved. Earth was saved. But the victory wasn't just about defeating the Avazar. It was about something more. Something deeper. Marcus, known for his incredible memory, stood still, looking out at the shattered remains of the enemy fleet. The battle had been won, but now it was time for him to honor the victory. He turned to his crew and said, "I want to name each of the ships we destroyed." His crew looked at him in confusion. "Admiral, you want to name 2,000 ships?" asked one of his officers, astonished. Marcus nodded. Yes. Each one represents a moment of hope. A moment of defiance. Each ship was part of our fight to survive. We honor them all, because this victory is not just about us, it's about humanity's will to never give up. One by one, Marcus began to name the ships. As he didn't just recall their design or their power. He thought of the men and women who had fought against them, the battles humanity had faced in the past, and the strength it had taken to survive. Hope eternal. Freedom's flame, he named the next, representing the human will to remain free, no matter the cost. The names continued. The Last Dawn, a tribute to the many sacrifices humanity had made to protect Earth. Rising Star, a nod to the first humans who had looked to the stars and dared to dream. Each name was a story. Each name carried the weight of humanity's fight for survival. As Marcus finished naming the last of the ships, he felt a deep sense of pride. This victory was not just a military achievement, it was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. No matter how overwhelming the odds, humanity would always find a way to rise. The Avazar had been defeated, but the battle was just one chapter in humanity's ongoing struggle for freedom. And Marcus knew that as long as people like him, like his crew, and like every human who had ever fought for survival, the fight would never truly end. Humanity had proven that, no matter what the galaxy threw at them, they would always survive. The galaxy would remember this day. The last hope of humanity had not just won a battle, they had sent a message to the universe. Humans would never give up. The battle that changed everything, the galaxy was a battlefield. For years, humanity had struggled to find its place among the powerful alien civilizations that controlled most of the stars. The war with these alien empires had been long, brutal, and costly. Humanity was always the underdog, fighting not only for survival, but for the chance to live freely in the vast expanse of space. Admiral Lena Hawkey, one of humanity's greatest military leaders, had seen it all. She had fought in countless battles, watched her friends and comrades fall, and led her fleet through some of the darkest days in human history. She had survived it all, but she knew that one day she might face an enemy too strong to defeat. That day had come. Lena stood at the bridge of her flagship, the Victory, staring out at the vast alien fleet that had appeared on the outer edge of human space. It was the largest fleet she had ever seen, 2,000 ships, each one bigger and more advanced than anything humanity had ever faced. The alien force, known as the Zelkor Empire, had been steadily conquering human colonies, and now they were aiming to crush humanity once and for all. Lena felt the weight of the moment. Earth, the home of humanity, was under threat. Her fleet was outnumbered, and victory seemed impossible. But Lena had never believed in the impossible. She had fought in battles where victory seemed out of reach, and yet managed to turn the tide. This time, she would do the same. With a deep breath, Lena issued her orders. Prepare for battle. We fight with everything we have. This is not just about winning, it's about survival. Her crew, loyal and battle-hardened, responded without hesitation. They knew the stakes. They had lost much already, and they would fight to protect the future of humanity. The battle began. The Zelkor ships advanced, their weapons blazing. The humans fought back with all their strength, using their smaller but more agile ships to evade the enemy's attacks and strike when the time was right. Lena's tactics were ruthless but effective. She used everything she had learned over the years, every trick, every strategy, every move that had kept her fleet alive through the worst of times. For hours, the battle raged. The Victory and the other human ships took heavy fire, but they kept fighting. Lena gave her crew every bit of her strength, pushing them forward, making them believe in the impossible. Each human ship destroyed by the Zelkor was a painful loss, but Lena never wavered. She knew that if they could just hold on a little longer, if they could just push through, they might have a chance. As the battle wore on, the tide slowly began to turn. The Zelkor, overconfident and unprepared for the human resilience, began to falter. Lena's fleet used every advantage they could find, hitting the enemy where it hurt the most. And slowly but surely, the once mighty Zelkor fleet started to fall apart. By the end of the day, Lena stood on the bridge of the Victory, staring at the remnants of the Zelkor fleet. It was no longer a battle. It was a slaughter. The 2,000 alien ships had been reduced to pieces of debris drifting in space. The impossible had been achieved. The human fleet had won. But as the dust settled, Lena felt a deep emptiness. Yes, they had won. Yes, humanity had survived. But the cost had been high. She had lost friends. She had lost comrades. The victory, though monumental, came at a great price. As she stood there, silent and somber, she made a decision. This victory was not just about destroying 2,000 enemy ships. It was about the people behind the victory, the people who had fought and died for humanity's future. She would honor them. Lena turned to her communications officer. "I want to name the ships we destroyed." Her officer looked at her in confusion. "Admiral, you want to name every ship we destroyed?" Lena nodded, her voice firm but filled with emotion. "Yes. Each one represents a sacrifice, a person who shaped our journey. We owe it to them to remember." One by one, Lena named each of the 2,000 ships. But she didn't just name them based on their design or size. She named them after the people who had shaped her journey, the friends she had lost, the commanders she had fought alongside, the heroes who had stood by her side in the darkest of times. The first ship was named the Fallen Star in honor of her best friend, Captain Alice Rivera, who had died in the first battle against the Zelkor. The second ship was Enduring Spirit, named for the crew of the Atlas, who had given their lives to protect Earth's colonies. And so it went, each name a tribute, each name a story of sacrifice and survival. As Lena finished naming the last ship, she felt a sense of peace. The battle had been won, but it wasn't just about the ships or the weapons. It was about the people. The victory was their victory. It was a victory for the human spirit, for the unbreakable will to survive, no matter the odds. This battle would be remembered as the turning point in humanity's war against the Zelkor Empire. It would be remembered as the day humanity proved that no matter how powerful the enemy, no matter how impossible the odds, they would never back down. The Zelkor had been defeated, but this battle had shown the galaxy that the human spirit could never be broken. Lena stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars, her heart filled with pride. "We've won," she whispered. "And we will never forget." Humanity's ultimate victory galaxy was in chaos. For years, alien forces had been pushing humanity to the brink of extinction. The alien races, vast and powerful, had torn through human colonies, one by one, leaving destruction in their wake. Humanity had fought back, but it seemed like every victory was followed by an even greater loss. Now, Earth itself was on the verge of being overwhelmed, and there was no more room to retreat. The end of humanity seemed inevitable. But humanity was not ready to give up. Not yet. Not while General Jonathan Farrell still commanded the last remnants of the human fleet. Jonathan Farrell was a man who had seen it all. He had watched the rise and fall of battles, the deaths of friends and comrades, and the slow but sure destruction of everything humans had built. But he had also seen humanity's strength, its resilience, and its ability to fight even when the odds were impossible. As the leader of humanity's final charge, Jonathan knew that this would be the last battle. If they lost, humanity would be wiped out. But if they won, they would prove to the galaxy that they were not the weak species everyone thought them to be. In front of him, an alien fleet of 2,000 ships, the Varnak Dominion, loomed. These ships were unlike anything humanity had ever faced, massive, well-armed, and deadly. But Jonathan wasn't afraid. He had led his fleet through impossible battles before, and he would do it again. With a calm yet determined voice, he spoke to his crew. "This is it. This is the fight that will define us. We fight for our homes, for our families, for our future. And we fight together." His crew nodded, the weight of the moment settling over them. They knew they had no other choice. The battle began. The Varnak ships fired their weapons, powerful lasers and missiles cutting through the darkness of space. The human fleet fought back with everything they had. The human ships were smaller and less advanced, but they were faster, more agile, and most importantly, more determined. The human fleet moved in small, fast groups, dodging the Varnak fire and launching precise counterattacks. Jonathan had planned for this. He knew the Varnak would be overconfident, thinking that their superior numbers and weapons would crush humanity with ease. But they underestimated the one thing that had always kept humanity going, its will to survive. As the battle raged on, the Varnak fleet began to falter. One by one, their ships were destroyed. The human fleet fought like it had nothing left to lose because, in a way, it didn't. Jonathan's fleet had already been pushed to the edge of destruction, and now they were fighting not just for their survival, but for something greater. Each destroyed Varnak ship was a symbol of humanity's defiance, a declaration that no matter how many times they were knocked down, they would always rise again. The fight lasted for hours, each moment a blur of explosions, laser fire, and the sound of metal tearing through space. Jonathan's heart raced, his mind sharp, his orders clear. The human fleet tore through the Varnak armada, ship by ship, until finally, after an exhausting struggle, every single Varnak ship had been destroyed. The silence fell over the battlefield. Jonathan stood at the command bridge of his flagship, the Victory's Edge, staring out at the wreckage. The impossible had been done. Humanity had won. The Varnak Dominion was no more. But even as the human fleet celebrated, Jonathan's mind began to wander. The battle was over, but the true meaning of this victory was just beginning to sink in. This wasn't just a victory over the Varnak. It was a victory for all of humanity, a turning point in the history of the human race. This battle would be remembered for generations. It would mark the beginning of humanity's rise to power. Jonathan's thoughts turned to the past, to the battles and moments in history that had led to this point. He looked out at the vastness of space, knowing that each of the 2,000 Varnak ships they had destroyed had a deeper meaning. With a deep breath, he began to speak, his voice filled with quiet reverence. "Name them." His first officer, Captain Sarah Delgado, looked at him, confused. "Sir," Jonathan looked at her, his eyes filled with determination. "Name every ship we destroyed. I want to honor them, each one." Each ship represents a moment in human history, a battle fought, a decision made, a turning point that shaped who we are. They didn't just lose today. We all did something extraordinary. Captain Delgado nodded, and with that, Jonathan began naming the Varnak ships one by one. As he did, he connected each ship to a key moment in human history. He named the first ship the Dawn of Hope, remembering the first human colony that had survived a similar attack years ago. The second ship was the Last Stand, in honor of the humans who had fought to the death on the Outer Rim to delay the Varnak's advance. The names came one after another, the silent strength for the soldiers who held the line during humanity's darkest hour, the rising flame for the discovery of human unity in the face of destruction, and the unbroken for the survivors of Earth's first invasion. By the time he finished, Jonathan felt a deep peace settle within him. The battle was not just about the destruction of enemy ships. It was about the story of humanity's fight for survival. Every victory, every decision, every sacrifice had led to this moment. And it was that shared history that had given humanity the strength to survive. As Jonathan stood at the helm of his fleet, watching the stars once again, he knew that this victory marked the start of something new. Humanity had not only defeated a seemingly unbeatable enemy, they had proven to the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had just begun to rise.